Legal and ethical issues. All adults that are 18 years or older and of sound mind have the right to make decisions regarding the amount and type of health care they desire. These decisions should be made during a stress-free time when the individual is alert and not experiencing acute health issues. These wishes are communicated through things like advance directives. These wishes include DNR requests, directives regarding mechanical ventilation, and directives regarding artificial nutrition and hydration. These wishes should be discussed with family members and healthcare providers. Two formal types of advance directives are recognized in most states. The first one is durable power of attorney for healthcare, which transfers authority to make healthcare decisions to another person. Now, this only occurs when the client is unable to make decisions for him or herself. The healthcare agent, or the power of attorney, is usually going to be a family member or a close friend. The completed document specifies the client's wishes in writing and is usually witnessed by two unrelated individuals. There are some standardized forms that are available, or they can be individualized by an attorney, for example. A living will is the other type of advance directive, and it provides information on care for non-curable diseases. It goes into effect when two physicians agree in writing that necessary criteria have been met. It provides information the client refuses life-saving or life-prolonging measures when the client is near death or in a vegetative state. One or the other document is sufficient. Usually both are not required, but both can be used. If both are used, it's just important to make sure there are no conflicts. Either document can be revoked or changed at any time, and this document should be readily available so the client can make sure that wishes are followed. The POLST, or Physician Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment, creates actual doctor's orders for emergency personnel. This includes specifics regarding CPR, medications, antibiotics, and artificial nutrition. So again, this is a document that needs to be kept readily available, so in case of an emergency, EMS personnel can find it. Abuse and neglect are usually done to someone, but self-neglect is a common issue in the older adult population. It's commonly seen when the older adult has few to no close family or friends. Now, due to laws, it may be difficult for concerned parties to intervene until a situation becomes critical or life-threatening. It's most likely to be recognized by neighbors and reported to the police, public health nurse, or social worker. Often, self-neglect is connected with some sort of mental illness or dementia. Once recognized, it may require legal action to place the client in protective custody. Self-neglect is defined as a failure to provide for the self because of a lack of ability or lack of awareness. Indicators for self-neglect include an inability to maintain ADLs or IADLs, an inability to obtain adequate food and fluids, poor hygiene practices, changes in mental function, inability to manage finances, failure to keep important appointments, and life-threatening or suicidal acts. High levels of stress are created when attempting to meet the demands of caring for older adults. An estimated 5 million older adults experience some form of abuse or neglect on an annual basis, and an estimated 10% of adults over age 65 have suffered some form of abuse. Increased demands on limited resources, physical exhaustion, or mental fatigue can result in deviant behavior on the part of the caregivers. Intentional abuse is a deliberate plan to mistreat or harm another person. Abusive behavior is never justified. There is an increased risk for abuse in families that do have a history of violence or substance abuse, mental impairment, or severe financial problems. Unintentional abuse can occur if the caregiver lacks appropriate knowledge, stamina, or resources to care for the older adult. Continuous care needs or a confused client increase this risk. Physical abuse is any action that causes physical pain or injury. This includes a physical attack, being locked in a room, sexual abuse or rape, starvation, or being fed unsuitable food, inappropriate use of medications, force feeding, use of physical restraints or punishments. Warning signs of physical abuse include bruising, lacerations, broken teeth or glasses, sprains and fractures, burn marks, wounds that are in the various stages of healing, unexplained injuries, torn or bloody underwear, vaginal trauma, a delay in seeking medical treatment, or doctor shopping, and refusal of the caregiver to allow visitors to see the client. Neglect is a passive form of abuse in which caregivers fail to provide for the needs of the older person under their care, intentionally or unintentionally. It may include failure to meet hygiene or safety needs, or failure to provide medical care. Emotional abuse includes behaviors such as isolating, ignoring, or depersonalizing older adults. This damages the client's self-esteem and it can destroy their will to live. The client may have an absence of physical abuse and they may have adequate physical care. At the same time, they're being emotionally abused. The abuser may forbid visitors, prohibit the use of the phone, or interference in telecommunications. Repeated ignoring and avoiding social interaction with the older adult. It may be verbal, such as shouting, threatening, or confining, or nonverbal, such as slamming a door, head shaking or sighing, or other negative body language. Signs of emotional abuse include, on the part of the client, a lack of eye contact, trembling, agitation, evasiveness, or hypervigilance. Financial abuse occurs when the resources of an older adult are stolen or misused by a person whom the older adult trusts. The thing is many older adults are very trusting and they don't believe a family member would steal from them, despite clear evidence to the contrary. This can include stealing savings, selling the house, and objects of value. The caregiver may abandon the older person once all of the assets are gone. Signs of financial abuse can include unusual banking activity, such as large or frequent withdrawals, missing bank statements, missing valuable personal belongings, and signatures on checks or documents that do not match the older adult's signature. Steps to protect financial assets include arranging for direct deposit of Social Security, pension, and other benefit checks, taking care in selection of anyone who's appointed power of attorney, or giving advice regarding a will, keeping ATM passwords and numbers secure, have written agreements regarding expectations and fees for services, because financial abuse is not only done by a close family member or friend, it can be done by hired help. These older adults also need to keep their valuables in a secure location, And remember that home helpers are employees, not friends. And abandonment. This occurs when dependent older persons are deserted by the persons responsible for their custody or care under circumstances in which a reasonable person would continue to provide care. This leaves an older adult physically, emotionally, and financially defenseless. These adults usually will end up becoming wards of the state. The older adult has a variety of responses to abuse. Fear of being treated even worse or fear of being institutionalized or abandoned may prevent the victim from even seeking help. These adults should be addressed carefully as they may want to protect their abuser or deny that abuse is occurring, or maybe they're even resigned to the situation because they think nothing can be any better than what it is at this point. It's important for us as nurses to carefully document all objective and subjective observations and realize that photographs might be appropriate. When interviewing these clients, avoid using the word abuse. Maybe use a word such as problem. If abuse is suspected, an experienced professional should oversee this case. People who are hired to provide for the safety and well-being of older adults can sometimes be their greatest threat. These caregivers are unrelated, but if the hours are long and the work is emotionally and physically demanding and the pay is low, there are specific federal and state laws that are designed to prevent undesirable persons from contact with these vulnerable people, such as the very young and the older adult population. However, sometimes people with criminal records or inadequate training or other serious shortcomings manage to somehow gain employment despite these safeguards. Unscrupulous caregivers have been known to take money and personal belongings from older adults, physically abuse or threaten physical abuse if it's reported, or threaten to quit, causing increased fears of institutionalization. Now, abuse is most likely to occur in stressful situations where nurses or nursing assistants don't have adequate support or tools to deal with the stress in institutions. So abuse can occur anywhere. And once again, despite screening measures, unsuitable individuals may end up working in healthcare facilities, especially in situations where finding enough help is difficult. Victimization of older adults can occur before it is ever discovered. In most states and U.S. jurisdictions, licensed nurses are required to report suspicions of abuse to the state, usually to a group called Adult Protective Services. This is called mandatory reporting. As a mandated reporter, it is against the law for a nurse to fail to report suspected elder abuse. The report should be done as soon as possible so appropriate action can be taken and the abusive person can be removed. Reports are usually anonymous and they should be based on solid evidence. If the elder is believed to be in immediate danger, law enforcement should be notified. Once responsible authorities are notified, they are obligated by law to investigate and pursue any legal action that's necessary to protect the safety of the abused and to protect them from further harm. Now, the Nurse Practice Act in the state of Kansas does provide immunity from liability in civil actions for reporting, communicating, and investigating certain information concerning alleged malpractice incidents and other information or conditions. So basically, no person reporting to the Board of Nursing under oath and in good faith any information such person may have relating to alleged incidents of malpractice or the qualifications, fitness, or character of a person licensed to practice professional nursing or licensed to practice practical nursing shall be subject to civil action for damages as a result of reporting such information.